What's up, y'all? This is Austin Ingerman from Gunshine, and you were listening to Talking About Rock.
All right, today's guest is a Daytona Beach, Florida native. And when the world shut down, he suddenly found himself off the road, eager to carry out his vision of forming a fresh, edgy rock and roll band. And with that, Gunshine was born. And after an exhausting search, Jordan Benson, the distant cousin to Elvis Presley, became the band's lead singer. The band recorded their debut album and follow-up EP in Las Vegas with producer-engineer Chris Collier. Their forthcoming full-length album, Grand Rising, is out digitally on July 24th. Now, let's say hello to Austin Ingerman from Gunshine. Austin, what's up?
Hey, how's it going, man? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely. Going great, man. Great. So let's talk about the tracks here. You got, actually, you're selling the physical product already, but the digital is going to be coming out shortly, like we just said. And you guys just released, I think, the 5th track on that, My Oh Miley. So it's kind of described as a playful, tongue-in-cheek kind of tribute to Miley Cyrus. Have to ask you, any history there with anybody or anything with that? Or
Yeah, well, so Jordan came in with the title My Oh Miley, but then, so my wife is actually a huge fan of Miley Cyrus. So, but the idea was to kind of take her album and song titles and kind of spin them, into our own thing, kind of. So we used like the end of the chorus says "You're the party in the USA," and then we actually drew inspiration from one of her super deep cut records called Miley Cyrus and Her Dead Pets. And if you listen to the second verse, it's got all these things like Tangerine, Tiger Dreams, all this stuff, and it all came from that album. So it was just kind of a fun thing. And then the song itself is just super. I wanted kind of like an upbeat, kind of driving. Melodic vibe to it. So yeah, it's a fun song.
Yeah, definitely great. Another great track. Actually, I heard before I got any press or heard anything, I heard Finite from you guys. And I was just floored. I thought that was fantastic, man. Just coming out swinging right away. I was like, who is this band?
Thank you, man. Finite's one of my babies. Kind of had the whole thing. I was working on a different song at the time and a different riff. And then the riff for that one popped in my head, and then I've had these vocal melodies that went along with it for a while with that song. So I had the whole thing written out with all the melodies. I was reading a book called 4,000 Weeks, and in that book, he said multiple times, "We're so finite," and it just kind of talked about how life is so short. So you gotta, instead of getting too stressed out about, like, if you try to, it's good to have goals and stuff, but if you're constantly chasing and you're not enjoying the present moment, it can easily pull you away from life's joys and stuff like that. So that's kind of what the book was about. So and then I sat with Jordan and we kind of finished writing the lyrics. But yeah, that one's a fun one, very melodic, but it's got that kind of heavier vibe. I played my 7-string a lot on that one too. So
yeah, just a great track and a great message there, obviously, because people are not living in the present, in the here and now. We're always like seeing what's next or building up what's coming up. So definitely a good lesson with that for sure.
Yeah.
And I went back and listened to some of your earlier tracks, and I have to say, Wall Said to Call, killer track from the debut album. Just total standout. I'm sure you've heard that before. I'm sure that caught everybody's ears when that came out. And Swing Away, another track from the Checkmate EP. Another killer track, both of those, man.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah, very, very cool. So tell us a little bit about the rest of the band. We already talked a little bit. We got Jordan Benson on lead vocals, but tell us about the rest of the guys here that's filling out the band.
Yeah, so we when we first started the band, we had a couple different guys. Actually, when we started the band, we didn't even have a bass player. I wrote a lot of the bass lines, like on the demos and stuff like that. And then our producer, Chris Collier, he actually played bass on the first record. But then when it was time to play live, we had one of Jordan's friends come in on bass, and then our drummer was a guy who I had known for a long time. But both of those guys that we kind of started with just kind of couldn't do the touring life anymore. One of them wanted to have a kid and kind of go, different direction with his life and stuff like that, which happens totally. That's
A
kind of
lot
part
of
of the
times.
band.
A lot of times in bands, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it was the summer of 23, we got Jake Tripp, our bass player. And then October of 24, we got Tommy on drums and Tommy Salzberg. And those guys are just total like road dogs. They brought a whole new, passion to the band and stuff like that. So excited for the next chapter, as we start working on the next record to kind of see, what it's like, writing all together and seeing what that might be like too. But those guys are absolutely killing it, with the live show and everything so far.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about at this point, right? The live shows, the live experience, and obviously your music is very passionate, very driven for sure. What would you say maybe influences your sound or style or something you draw upon?
Yeah, I would say it's melody first for me. I've always been really into like hooky chorus melodies like Boston, Def Leppard, a lot of the 80s new wave stuff, even like Duran Duran. Honestly, just anything that's catchy. I'm a 90s kid, so I was also raised on a lot of like the pop stuff that was coming out. I was hearing at the time, like whether it be the boy band stuff or Avril Lavigne or any of those kind of things, but just these super catchy pop songs. So that's kind of my thing. It's like, pop music disguised as rock, but with the edgy guitars and kind of making it to where it's not, it's got the swagginess and the heaviness, but it's also got the soaring kind of melodic thing about it too. That's kind of, I think, what I try to aim for in my head.
Yeah, you're definitely hitting that on a lot of the tracks for sure. So let's talk a little bit about your gear. All the musicians listening out there, they always want to know about, what's your preferred axe, amp, or effects? Do you have go-to stuff? Do you like to experiment? What can you tell us about your gear on the road?
Yeah, for me, it's always it's kind of a Marshall Les Paul, not really reinventing the wheel too much when it comes to that. It's just kind of like something about that, the bite, so for me, it's a Marshall JCM 800. I use a Boss Super Overdrive on the front end of it. And then I have a 94 Les Paul Standard. That's kind of my mainstay that I've been using on all of our records and live and everything too. So, and then when it comes to adding production layers and experimenting with like other parts, I just kind of I use a lot of sounds in Logic as well. So different effects and stuff that are built into Logic. So like, I end up using like univibe sounds and like whammy pedals and stuff like that. It's kind of, in terms of like layers and stuff, it's really just like whatever's in my head. But for the main rhythm sounds, it's typically Marshall, JCM 800, and Les Paul.
Yep. And another thing which is coming up all the time, and I'm sure people are always concerned about, is the rise of AI in all different things, right? Music, art, everywhere, business, but especially in songwriting lately. We're starting to see that creep up in areas where sometimes they're even creating, fictitious figures and creating songs and things like that.
Yeah.
I've run across artists who's actually had, fictitious songs placed on their profile on streaming services. Concerns or comments about that?
Yeah, I think it's a scary thing. I mean, I think it can be used for certain things, like if you're figuring out, if you're meal prepping or something for the next week and you want to see, like, get it to help you make a plan or something like that. But anything creative, like when it comes to songwriting or art, it's just, I mean, I can't speak for other people, but for me, the whole reason I even started Gunshine was because I wanted to get my song ideas out there. So if you take that away, I was already just playing guitar in a different band. That wasn't I'm not happy with just being a guitar player. So that for me, it would defeat the whole purpose of even having a band, starting this band and everything. So that's what makes it fun for me, is creating things out of thin air, hearing things in my head. And yeah, if you took that away, it would just be boring for me. And so I would never even consider kind of even using AI for anything. I would stay away from that wholeheartedly. But, I can't speak for other people. And I know it's got its uses that certainly can help with certain things, maybe on the businessy end of things, But like I said, anything creative, I think humans are still, when you're using your full potential, you're still far superior. all the AI stuff I've heard so far musically is very generic. It's not outside of the box. Go listen to our song Table Dancing or Meet You There or Till the End of Days and tell me, if that's
Yeah.
if
Or
AI,
single looks good on you is another one. Yeah.
I mean, but as you get into some of the stuff we have that's more progressive and outside the box, I think that's what it's all about as an artist, is trying to push boundaries. And the more we can do that as humans and as artists, I don't think AI is going to be able to catch up to that.
Yeah, definitely.
I hope not, at least.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the musicians agree you don't get that emotional connection and emotional feeling, and some of the platforms have started even labeling stuff if it's AI created.
Yeah.
iTunes is doing that, and I'm sure all the other ones are going to follow suit with that as well. It's just kind of crazy to me that the average person, they put out these apps, and the average person thinks they can write a song by just typing in a sentence. It's like, oh, I wrote a song. No,
Yeah.
you didn't write a song. It wrote something of resemblance of a song for you.
Right.
Which, yeah, it's just crazy. Definitely.
Yeah.
So let's talk about tour dates. You got stuff starting up. You guys are starting on the road. It looks like June 24th in Wichita, Kansas. You guys got stops at the Whiskey on July 10th. Nashville, September 11th at the Vinyl Lounge. Sounds like you guys are getting geared up. You're leaving tomorrow. From the looks of things, we're recording just the day before you guys are leaving.
No, we're out here right now, man. I don't know if you can look at the dates that we've been out here since June 4th or whatever. So.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, we just had 2 days off, but yeah, I'm actually calling you from the road right now. We're in Colorado. So, but yeah, man, it's going great. We got a lot of great shows so far. A lot coming up. Like you said, we got the Whiskey. We have this Sturgis we're playing Full Throttle this year in August. So. Staying busy, and we've heard from our fans and some crazy stories and stuff so far. People listening to our songs and driving miles and miles to see us. So it's been going great so far.
Yeah, definitely. So a couple months back, you guys played Michigan, wasn't it? Saginaw, Michigan, I think, like that, with some friends of ours. Night Shift Special and Chase Engeluk there. You guys played that show. I don't know if you recall that at all, but yeah, definitely a lot of good things to say about that show when we spoke to him.
Yeah, that was last year, I think, right at the the Vault, I think was the name of the venue.
Yep, the Vault. Yep,
absolutely. Yep. That was awesome.
Yeah, very, very cool. So you folks out there, you can check out all the additional dates at bandsintown.com. You can check out the links to the video for My O'Malley and Finite in our Hall of videos at talkingboutrock.com. All right. So that wraps up this episode. Thanks to my guest today, Austin Ingerman from Gunshine. And to our listeners, we hope you're doing your part by keeping the torch alive and supporting live music wherever you are. Austin, again, man, thanks so much.
Awesome, man. Thanks again for having me.